Okay, so we've got a couple of people here on our Facebook page. Who else? Let me pick. There is. Let me find it. There is one that was pretty much spot on. Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Across the Line with me, Chris Greatwich. Opposite me today we have Jing Jamlang. Ooh, is that good?
Perfect.
Perfect. Wow. And we have a different episode for you today. We will be talking about our Azkals XI of the past 20 years. We have put a debate out on social media and people have been responding. There have been some very interesting selections nonetheless, some with me, some without me. But please, if you like our content, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and download our episodes on Spotify and Apple. But let's get right into it.
Yeah.
Jing, how are you?
Doing all right, man. This is a treat watching you on this side of things. And I think we had a conversation about you wanting to put up a podcast before, and I said you'd be a natural at it.
Yeah.
I've watched the last few episodes, man. I wasn't mistaken. Really? You're doing a great job at this.
That's a ringing endorsement.
Yeah. Fantastic
Because
stuff,
I came on your show, didn't I? I came on your show, hands on. Was it maybe two years ago? Was it 3 years ago? No, sorry, I tell you, it was before. It was the season between me retiring as a player and then going in as a coach with Kaya.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was like kind of my. We just won the cup.
Yeah.
And then it was going into my first season, so we sat down and I talked about my hopes and dreams for Kaya.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, you came on board and ended up working with us.
That's right.
And that was the last podcast that I did, I think, until I started this one.
Yeah.
And now you're here.
Amazing.
With me.
It's a real pleasure to be here, Chris.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Now, I want to get straight into it because last week we put out the question.
Right.
We posed a question to the Philippine football public, which was name your Azkals XI from the past 20 years. Now, some people thought it was a joke. People thought this is just for Chris to get a lot of people trying to select him. But the response has been incredible. So we had a lot of people who got on board and picked their 11. Some, I think, are incredible, great selections. Some picked some players who I was like, wow, yeah, I forgot about him. He definitely is a contender. And some completely out of left field, have no idea. They must be a relative or something. Don't know why they were picked. But I want to go through them with you.
Yeah.
I want to go through them with you.
I had to pour over the squads from all the way to 2000, prior to, 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Initially, I was stuck to around 2010 to 2019. Yeah. But when you look back, you got to take into consideration at least until 2002, 2004.
Yeah.
Prior to that, the results weren't great.
Yeah.
You start to see some of the familiar names that
they
stuck
crop up,
through.
don't they? Yeah.
That stuck through with the squad all the way until 2000. Later after the explosion. So it's a fun one. It's a fun exercise to go through.
I hope so. So let's see if we can, we can go through the archives a little bit and see what we dig up, because what we've decided to do is I've basically got 3 teams. So for each position, we'll have 3 names. I think for centre back, I've got like 5 names because I struggled to get a 6th.
All right. Here's what I wanted to throw out real quick.
Okay.
First.
Yeah,
a quick question. What is the criteria for an all-time 11?
Great.
Right.
What's your criteria? What do you think merits someone being selected for this?
Initially, I was thinking like technique, just technical ability.
Yeah.
And then you'd kind of be forced into just picking more of the players who are in the present squad.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit unfair. In terms of technical advantage, they would have that over some of the older players. So I figured that's not probably the best way to consider an all-time 11. So it had to be impact, I guess, on the sport.
Yeah, definitely.
It has to be taken into consideration. I was taking into consideration as well, like, the impact that they had historically, but also like the relevance of the matches that they played.
I think that's a massive one, because there's plenty of players who scored, goals against weaker opposition that they'll boost their stats a little bit, but it wasn't necessarily that.
So those 2 things,
for sure.
I would say, the relevance of the matches and the impact it had on football as a whole. I think that's what I consider the most.
Yeah.
Technical ability as well. I threw in as a lower criteria, but those 2 things were the ones I prioritized.
Okay, I think we could add technique as a 3rd. I think that's important, or sort of skill level, or just overall ability.
For sure.
Right? Okay, so we'll put that one in. And And then as a basic criteria, I think they need to play a certain amount of games.
Okay.
Right? So, like, there's a couple of guys that are in there just about. But I think in order for them to qualify for an Azkals 11 of the past 20 years, we had a minimum of 10 games was the criteria.
All right,
really.
10 games is...
So there's a player in there who's very, very good, and we'll talk about him later, but he's played 10. So
on the cusp.
He's on the cusp, and is he going to make it? I think based on that, he might struggle. So,
all right.
But I think that's very good. Thank you for bringing that point up, and in terms of clarifying what our criteria is for this particular selection. So I've got 3 goalkeepers, I've got 3 right backs, 3 left backs, I've got 5 centre backs, 3 defensive midfielders, 3 number 8s, 3 number 10s, and then I've got 3 right forwards, 3 left forwards, and then 3 strikers. Now, we can go through this and we can just be like, actually, I think, I want to play 4-4-2, or I want to do this, I'm going to do that. So I'm pretty fluid with this. This is just how the names have kind of come up based on the suggestions that were made by the general public.
Sure.
And then what I'm hoping is at the end of this interview, we will come up with a definitive, an ultimate, which official.
All right. The official
Azkals 11 of the past 20 years.
Love it. All right.
Yeah?
Let's do it.
Okay. Goalkeeper. Is it worth debating? Is it really worth debating? What do you think?
I think this is one of the easiest positions to pick.
Is it? Who have you gone for?
Neil Etheridge.
Okay.
Obviously.
Why?
I mean, Neil Etheridge, he's still playing.
Yeah.
Right? So that's easily, 9 years? Almost a decade that he's been playing.
Yeah.
Asian Cup. He played...
qualifiers.
Yeah.
Qualifying game. Yeah.
He got us into the Asian Cup.
Yeah.
He played the Suzuki Cup, that whole explosion. And watching him play in the Premier League and all of that, I mean, his impact on the game, if we're talking about impact, obviously he's come up huge for us in massive matches.
Yeah.
He has grown the sport significantly here in our country because of his success abroad and his success in major tournaments. And as a goalkeeper, as a shot stopper, you can't question him. He's been fantastic for us. And I think the best quality keeper that we have on this list. I mean, there's some exceptional names that are going to be mentioned as well. But I think it's pretty safe to say that Neil is above those individuals or characters that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think Casas, when I first came into the squad, I mean, he was actually number 2 behind Ref Quaresma.
Right.
Who obviously you're familiar with both of them and their links to Kaya now. And I remember Casas waiting in line in the shooting exercise, and Ali Boromeo took a free kick, and Ref sort of got a fingertip to it, but jammed his fingers between bar and ball.
Oh, wow.
And ended up dislocating or breaking his finger, which propelled Casas into the number 1 spot. And this was for Tiger Cup 2004. So up until that point, Ref was actually the consensus number 1 pick.
Right.
And in that tournament, I mean, Casas had an absolute unbelievable. I mean, he had a lot to do, obviously, at that time.
Right.
I mean, he was definitely under the microscope, but he performed admirably in some really difficult games, and that sort of propelled him into being number 1 for basically until Neil showed up.
Right.
So Casas definitely deserves a mention because that period he was absolute stonewall number 1 and beat off some very good stiff domestic competition.
Like a cat, Mike Casas.
Yeah, I mean, small, undersized, great reflexes. He's a bit thicker set now.
Yeah.
I hope you won't mind me saying. But, reflexes wise, he was very, do you remember Peggy Arpexad, the Liverpool and Leicester goalkeeper? He was very much like a cat, very agile and feline in his kind of the way he would sort of cover the goal. Perhaps positionally not the best, but he would able to sort of pluck things out of thin air.
And not a big guy in Michael Casas, right?
No, not really. But he definitely deserves to be on this list. And then obviously Roland Muller being the other one.
Yeah.
People forget that Neil was his backup.
That's
for
right.
a while. You look at the Challenge Cup of 2012. 2012? That sound right? No.
Under Vice.
No. Sorry. Under Dooley in the Maldives. Look at that competition. I mean, Neil was number 2.
Yeah.
You know, so he went in the number one in that tournament and then got injured, and Roland came in, and then he was bona fide number one and played absolute lights out that competition and kept his shirt. So, I mean, in his own right, phenomenal goalkeeper. Yeah. Probably didn't do his chances any favours of making this list, because obviously he took a hiatus from the national team. He went back to Europe, and that was the time when then Neil sort of came back into the fold and hasn't really let anyone back in. But I mean, he would be a number one goalkeeper in probably any other Southeast Asian nation.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Oh, for sure.
Absolute top goalkeeper. Yeah. Without any question of doubt.
That is a position that we've been pretty lucky. I would say.
Super lucky.
Very lucky.
Very lucky. But no, I mean, in terms of impact, in terms of performance, hands down Neil. Yeah. I mean, he's a match winner.
For sure.
He's a match winner, and I think what I personally, as a coach, what I like in a goalkeeper is a really good goalkeeper will win you games.
Right.
Bad goalkeepers will lose you games.
Yeah.
Right. So I think he's definitely of the former.
Yeah.
There's definitely games where I've been like, how on earth have we got out of that one? I mean, the China game, prime example.
Yeah.
You know, absolute lights out performance.
Right there in the end, clutch. Yeah.
Clutch.
I don't think we're going to argue too much about this.
No, we're happy with that. So that's number one on the list, Neil Etheridge. Bang.
100%.
Okay, first name on the team sheet. So let's go into the centre-backs.
Oof, here we go.
I'll tell you what. There's some big names on this list. Okay. So we've got Rob Gear.
Okay.
Juani Guirado.
Yeah.
Ali Borromeo.
Uh-huh.
Alvaro Silva.
Yes.
Carly Demurga.
Yes.
Right? So we've got to pick two from those five.
This is where it starts to get interesting. I'll start with one.
Go on then.
I'm going to throw in Ali Borromeo.
Okay.
Right? Captain for the team for several years, including the 2010 Suzuki Cup. To me, sort of embodied what the Azkals were about for me. A little behind in terms of our underdogs. We were underdogs, right? But tenacious and unafraid and, bold in the way we mentally approached the matches. I think he carried that symbolism for me on the pitch, off the pitch. He really kind of embodied that Azkals feeling for me. So I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of the numbers, and I'm not entirely sure. But to me, it was just it resonated emotionally that Ali Borromeo had to be a part of this team. There's going to be an Azkals all-time 11. Yeah, the guy in the middle alongside Rob Gear, he has to be on this team. Okay, so you're picking Ali Borromeo as number one centre back, and you just said Rob Gear. Yeah. So you think Rob Gear should be his partner? I think Rob Gear. I'm gonna get a bit of a stickler here. I'm gonna play a back three. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I want to incorporate Ali and Rob. Yeah. And then I was the third person is the one I'm debating. Go on. Right. It's like Silva in terms of his capability and his technical ability, but he's very new. I'm not sure how many. He might be on the cusp of just 10. He's 15 caps. 15 caps. Yeah. Right? So he's relatively new. Yeah. And in terms of impact, I don't know if he's had the same relevance as some of the other center backs. Although when you look at, he's an Asian quality player. Like he's top. So I think he has to be in the conversation in there as well. But I would have him anchor alongside Rob and Ali. I think I'm going with that. Right. I'm going to throw this back at you now. Go ahead. I said that we would argue on this. Argue might be a strong word, but we, as a national team, have had a dearth of centre-backs over the years. Sure. So, we were asking Rob and Juani to play together, and they were like 72 or something. Both of them were like dinosaurs. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Definitely from a prehistoric age. Anyway, and then you're going to waste 3 slots on them. I'm interested to see what else you've got down the line, because you're basically going to get rid of some absolute legends if you're going to have 3 centre-backs. So, okay, you made your point and you made your case. But so Ali's 1. Yeah. Rob is 2. Yeah. And your third one is going to be? Silva. You're going to pick Silva? Yeah. Okay. I was actually thinking about Simone a little bit, but it's a bit too stop-start, and
it's not his natural position, is it? I think you're plugging. If you're going to play Simone Rota in there, who can play there, you're plugging him in.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to take him out the equation.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to take him out the equation. I can't believe you've not even mentioned Carly.
He was my consideration for right back.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and I'll take that. I think maybe for the same reasons as Rota, maybe he can't be included as centre back because he's sort of evolved into that position as he's got older. He's not necessarily a quote unquote centre back.
Yeah.
He's sort of played there. He's moved into that position later. He started off as a centre midfielder actually.
That's right.
A phenomenal.
Yeah. Before he got hurt.
I tell you what, I came here and I watched Carly Demorga play centre midfield for Global.
That's right.
Against he absolutely bossed the game. This is like the early days of UFL. He was a cut above everyone.
Yeah.
He was head and shoulders the best player in the league.
He was MVP a couple of times, wasn't he?
Maybe the year before I came, he played.
Yeah.
He was like unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, but I think I agree with you in that sense. I don't think he could be considered in that centre back position, but I definitely needed to get him in. So, okay, I'm going to strike him off the list. Now, Rob Gear is 100% in.
Yeah.
For me, he's captain, leader.
There you go.
I mean, the absolute best. You know, he was always the extension from the coaching staff to the team. You knew that no matter what happened in the game, Rob would 100% back you up, even if you were wrong.
Huh.
Even if you were wrong, you know, he'd just back you up. He had this weird thing about him as well, like because he wasn't the quickest,
right?
But he'd make blocks. He'd make these block tackles or these challenges, and I'm like, he was about 3 yards behind him when he went down to make that tackle, and he's ended up getting his foot to the ball, and blocking what was an absolute, no-brainer, 100%. It was a goal, 100%, and he gets his blocking, and you can see the corner, whatever. Get up, and then he's there, he's organising us, getting ready to straight away. Get your mind on it. Don't worry about the block. Just get ourselves back in the position and focus on the next thing. Like just the most natural leader that I played with. I think it's been well documented about the fact that he used to do sort of some of the off the field stuff as well.
Yeah.
So like he would do like the video analysis, and then one of the times, I think we mentioned it on the previous podcast.
I think Shiraki's.
Yeah, Shiraki's one. So he basically did this video montage before we played Afghanistan. And we were just watching it, and there was a lot. To be honest, a lot of the clips were sort of clips that of us coming up, sort of Suzuki Cup or even pre-Suzuki Cup.
What was it that Shiraki was saying? It was too emotional.
It was so honestly, like I can honestly remember, like because you're watching it. If you can imagine, we're all sort of in a horseshoe in the locker room, and all the lights are off, so you just got the image of the video on the screen or on the wall or something like that, and then. You can sort of start to feel yourself. He's got some emotional music going on. I can't remember what it was, but bloody hell, it pulled on the heartstrings, mate. And when you start going, and then I remember I got to keep my head down. I can remember tears dropping from my eyes, and it was dripping onto my boots, and it like that sounded like the drip hitting the leather on your boots. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Or whatever it was. And then when the lights come up and everyone's crying, and they're like, Rob, what have you done? And I was rooming with him at the time. I remember getting back to the hotel. It wasn't even the hotel, it was in the huts in the Maldives, and I was like, it's too much, mate. That was way too much. But he was amazing at that. Like he would do the video analysis. He was always very good at and then even later on that tournament, he got all video messages from people from back home.
Right.
Like he knew what would elicit a certain response.
Right.
So he obviously didn't know who was going to elicit that kind of response. People would be crying in the locker room, but he was just all round, mate. He's unbelievable. Stonewall in.
Right.
Don't care what anyone said. I'll walk out the room if they didn't pick him. So he's in.
Yeah.
Right.
He's
in. Stonewall, captain, everything.
Yeah.
Right. The next one's tough, mate. It's really tough. If you're talking about who's the best centre back we've ever had, it's Silva for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
The best.
That's right.
The best player. And you forget he's been around for so long. He's actually been around for so long. Like I played in his debut against Indonesia.
No way.
Yeah. Sorry, Indonesia. I played in his debut against Thailand. So Dooney was sort of experimenting a little bit. Him and Satoshi. Do you Mr. Satoshi played in the same game. This is the team. He played me and my brother centre midfield. He played Manny Ott left wing. I can't remember who played the right wing. We played Rob and Silver at centre backs. Yeah, it was like a really obscure lineup.
For what competition was this?
This was the friendly before we went into Suzuki Cup. 2000. It would have been 2014.
Yeah, Dooley, right?
Dooley, yeah. So he played in that.
Wow.
He played in that. People don't realise. So he's been around since 5 years.
But he's quality.
Like, absolute. But he's the best centre back all round that we've had. But he's not going to make it. He's not in.
Really?
No, he's not in. Can't. He's had 15 games.
Right.
He will be in for down the road.
If he plays on for another.
Yeah. You need to have I think you need to have. I know I said there needs to be the 10 was the minimum. 10 was to get in, but 15 caps I don't think is enough just yet. But hands down the best player I think centre back.
But what is he like? 37 now? What is he?
I think he's maybe a year younger than me. So I think he's 35.
Okay.
He can go on for ages though. He's physique wise, he's unbelievable. Great condition, great attitude. Yeah. I think he'll go on for a long time. Carly, I think we can play him in another position. I don't think he's a natural centre back. So that leaves us with Ali and Wani.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like I've got Ali, 42 caps, 4 goals.
Yeah.
Wani 36 cap, 1 goal. Wani for me pips it only because Ali dog injuries absolutely nipped him in his prime.
True.
Like that Suzuki Cup 2010, he was the best centre back in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Or he had pace, he had power, he was good on the ball. He read the game well. He had obviously a really good relationship with Neil.
Yeah.
Neil and Rob. Sorry. So those 3 just got along really well. Off the field, on the field as well. Yeah. Great. So I just feel like if he had been able to continue that as we moved into a more, because we started to play against better opposition, stronger opposition. We were competing for like a higher level, playing against a higher caliber of team, and he didn't really he wasn't really afforded that luxury because of his injuries.
Yeah. And
then when he came in, and I mean, him and Rob then took that pairing to another level. Just a monster, like great in the tackle. Again, read the game very well. His distribution was good. He could ping a ball with his left foot, hit that diagonal ball really well. Super strong in the air. Another good leader.
Sure.
Just no nonsense, wouldn't take any crap. And you know what? His last game, the North Korea game, is maybe one of the most iconic images, I think, in recent memory.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, the comeback.
Yeah.
The comeback, the nature of the game, and the fact that it was his last ever match. Like, it was like the perfect send-off.
Right.
And like, whenever I think of him, it always evokes the memory of that game, like him crying and being, just an emotional wreck after the game. I mean, did you call that game? Did you call that? No, you didn't call that game.
I don't think so.
No, but
I was watching at home that one.
Yeah, I remember Miguel playing. He started like, and I want to do these crazy crackpot ideas that rolled the dice, and he came up with a 6. And I think I'm going to pick 1A.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick 1A because I think. Look, listen, you can argue all you want. Like Ali would easily make that. It could easily be a choice. I think in terms of just at the level that we then went to, he was the one that helped sort of bridge that gap between being a sort of mediocre Southeast Asian team to being, I think one of the premier teams in the region. And I think he was really instrumental in that.
I would agree with that. Wani was tremendous for us.
You know what though? But Ali's iconic, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the only thing that I would argue. And you're right. Injuries did rob him of that opportunity to really prove himself at that point, which I feel like at that level he would have been able to express himself.
Yeah, he would have
done. In terms of his technique and his quality, but on top of that was everything else that Ali brought to the table.
Yeah, I think he was the most relatable player.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of when you think about the Azkals between that sort of period, anything between 2004 to probably 2012.
Yeah.
He's probably the first player you'd think of.
I would say, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, Chiefy for me.
Maybe, yeah.
Chiefy for me.
Yeah, we'll come on to later.
No, yeah, we'll talk about that later. But in terms of relatability as well, he was a very important figure in that, much like the other members of the team that were that grew up abroad, he kind of grew up here in the Philippines. He had that look about him that he was not entirely full-blooded Filipino, but he could speak it. He could speak Filipino well, and he knew the culture. He grew up here, so he was that nice middle ground from somebody like Chiefy or Roel Hiner and Ian Araneta, and all the way to somebody like Neil or yourself. It's like there's that guy that, okay, I kind of understand Ali. I understand this, as opposed to the culture being completely different. So in that regard, I would say for a larger public, Ali would be extremely relatable and an easy figure to relate to. And until today, you know what I mean? There are people that you walk across, they know Ali Borromeo, regardless of whether or not he's been playing competitively over the last 5 years.
All right, I'll tell you what we'll do. You can have the pick, but we have to play two at the back. Two centre-backs.
Okay.
All right?
All right, fair enough.
Yeah?
All right.
So we're going with Rob.
Yeah,
and we're going with Ali.
All right.
All right. Okay, so that's 3 positions down.
All right. Now it gets interesting.
Tough. No, they're all interesting, I think. So we'll go left back.
Okay.
Ray Johnson.
Yeah.
Daisuke Sato.
Yeah.
Deniz Khakkhara.
Deniz Khakkhara. Who else? That's it?
That's
it. 3?
That's my 3.
Yeah, same.
You had the same 3? The general consensus from the public was that it was those 3 were the picks.
Yeah. That seems safe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so pick one.
Sato.
Yeah?
Daisuke Sato.
Why?
He's a monster, that kid. You know, I watched his first game in the UFL, and I knew immediately that there was something special about him. It was him and Kurt who debuted together.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing against Army.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure who's going to be listening to this, but there was a Hiner that was part of the national team. That was Roel.
Mm-hmm.
He had a brother.
Yeah.
He was a bit of a...
He was wild.
Bit of a crazy person.
Absolute lunatic.
Right? So he was on the same side that Sato was attacking. He was in a left wing position, and the guy, Hiner, was playing right back. And he would get sent off every other game.
Yes.
Ronel Hiner, right?
I think he was the one who got sent off. I think we played a game where we scored. They had the kickoff. Army had the kickoff.
Yeah.
They passed it to him. He dribbled the ball across to the linesman who he had beef with and just booted the ball at him and then walked off the pitch.
He's a
so
coach
just to put
too.
it into perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
a lovely guy.
Yeah.
Roel's lovely, isn't he?
Yeah.
Roel is a super nice chap.
Exactly.
Maybe his brother is too.
Yeah.
But he was a little bit hot-headed on the pitch.
On the pitch.
Carry on with your story. Right? We digress. Carry on.
Sato goes over, attacks his left side as he normally does.
Yeah.
He gets kicked. And then he gets kicked again. And he doesn't react. He's 19, maybe even younger at that point. Gets up, gets on with the game, keeps attacking that side until Ronel gets sent off. And delivers a wonderful performance on that side.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on the opposite flank was Kurt Dizon, who had the hype coming in.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this kid's coming through. And you could tell that he was struggling a little bit with the expectation and the physicality of the game that Army was bringing. And you could tell that he was kind of getting in his own head and all that. Sato, no. He's just, I know, I'm confident, I'm going to go out and perform. And that's how he's been all throughout. Ever since he started that time. He's continued to put himself in the biggest possible matches and figure out a way to, express himself.
Yeah.
Now, he hasn't been without faults over the last few matches, but I think he's going to carry on for the next, how many more years as a reliable, attacking player who's also got that feistiness about him that I think is crucial for the Azkals. That's something that I resonate with this team is that feistiness on the field, that we're not going to take nothing from nobody. And I think he embodies all of those things.
Yeah.
Plus he's quality.
Yeah.
Supreme quality. So I think it's easy to pick Daisuke Sato, and I think he's going to be the youngest player on the squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people, I played in his debut as well. And it's funny that you mentioned Kurt. Kurt and Sato made their debuts against Nepal in the Middle East. I want to say UAE. Middle Eastern country, maybe Qatar.
Sure.
and we played Nepal, and Sato played amazing. Kurt scored on his debut, got subbed off at half time, which I didn't quite understand, but Sato played really well. I remember he trained really well because he was actually not supposed to start. Drew Liao was going to start. He was in the 11 the day before. Drew had a subpar performance in training, and then Sato came in and took his spot.
True.
I remember speaking to him because we warmed up on a separate part of the pitch, a separate location just outside the stadium. Then we would walk into the stadium, then we'd go in.
Right.
So we did the warm up outside of the actual main stadium. I remember saying to him like don't be nervous, like just play your game, and but don't get too carried away, because plenty of people who play one game, you don't see them again.
Sure.
So one cap's good. What's better than one cap? 10 caps.
Yeah.
20 caps, 50 caps, 100 caps. And at the time he was under a bit of pressure because he had Jeffrey Christians, who was, I think, injured, but was maybe one of the top performers in the league at the time. I thought Jeffrey, when I first came to the UFL, was brilliant.
Yeah, Jeffrey.
And then to even sort of bring that back again, Deniz Khakkhara at this point, we managed to acquire his services. He'd been involved with the Danish youth national team. He'd gone, I think, signed for Hertha Berlin for, I think, over €1 million, something like that.
Really?
Yeah, and was classed. Deniz Khakkhara, for me, like in terms of like actual all-round ability, he was one of the best players I played with. But he just couldn't, like, that particular tournament in the Maldives was the coming of age for a lot of players. And Deniz, I think he was out of a club and then, I think he had some injury worries, so he came in a little bit unfit, and then Sato was fully fit and was in great form. Deniz played a game against Cambodia, didn't play so well, and then Sato came in and then just shut the door basically and said, look, no one's coming in. And I agree with you. I think competitiveness is very high with him. He's fiery, he's feisty, left foot's a wand. Set pieces. He's incredible in the air for someone so diminutive. Like incredible in the air. Yeah. I can see why you'd pick him.
Yeah.
My initial pick was Ray Johnson.
Wow.
Again, I'm not Sato in terms of like ability. I think is probably arguably a better player than Ray. I mean, I saw Ray as like he was probably 35 when he first came in, another ancient dinosaur, but like incredible fitness levels, like just pure professional. And people forget he was a carpenter as well, so he was only sort of doing it semi-pro.
No way.
Yeah, so he's a carpenter as well. Do you know that?
Over there in Iceland.
Yeah, in Iceland. So another one, just temperament was flawless. Like you could put him anywhere, I reckon, and he'd feel comfortable. He was never fazed by anything. He was, preparations were always spot on. He was just the consummate professional. Right. And just someone who I'd look over and be like, again, another one. I was you just want him there next year. You want him to be on your team. Do you know what I mean? He just had that about him, and an amazing character, like just a wonderful, wonderful person. I'm not saying the other ones aren't, by the way. Lovely guys, all of them.
I haven't had
Khakkhara is hilarious.
Is he?
If this was an Azkal all-time funniest, he would be definitely in the top 3. Hilarious.
I never got a chance to meet him.
Super fun. His brother's a magician, isn't he? You've seen that? His brother's yeah. Look him up. His brother's amazing as well. Very funny guy.
All right.
But Khakkhara is the funniest guy you've ever met. Amazing. So, but I think it's between Sato and Ray. So Ray's 31 caps, Sato 40, I think 48, 3 goals.
Yeah.
Khakkhara only had 14 caps. So I think it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to sort of include him, and the other two are putting up those sort of numbers. What do you reckon?
You would have more experience with Johnson.
Yeah.
You would have another idea of what he's like outside of the pitch as well.
Yeah.
I would have a bias towards Sato, being as I've been able to watch him blossom into the position that he's in, and he's going to continue to keep that spot. I think for the next 5 years or so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't really argue against that. I think Ray, would easily make this lineup. He could easily make this lineup.
Sure.
But I think that's okay. I'll go with Sato and your suggestion.
So he's the first outside of the 2010 squad that is on this list.
Funny. No, so we added Ali, didn't we? Yeah. So he's the first outside.
He's the first one. Yeah. Right back.
So right back. So we're going to go with our four at the back, right? So Martin Stoible.
Yeah.
Simone Rota.
Mm-hmm.
Anton Del Rosario.
Sure.
They're my 3 picks.
Yeah.
We could, if you want to put Carly in that mix, you can.
Yeah.
But
he was on my...
And he's on your list. Okay, so we'll pick one from those 4.
This is where I was cheating. This is why I wanted a 3 at the back.
Go on, then. Who
did then I wanted a right...
Wing back?
Yeah,
and who did you have?
I would have Shraki playing at right wing back.
No. It's not happening. So you have to pick from my list.
Yeah.
Go on.
Right back.
Yeah.
Tough, man. Anton Del Rosario, Carly de Morga, or Martin Stoible.
Do you know who I picked?
Go ahead.
I picked Martin Stoible.
Yeah, that's the same guy I was going to choose.
You don't know why? Like, I think a little bit. I thought a little bit outside the box with this. Martin can play anywhere.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right. So you need someone to plug in at defensive midfield. He can do that.
Yeah.
You need someone to plug it in at right back, left back. Yeah. He can do that. Right wing, left wing. He can do anything. He could probably play centre back.
Yeah.
If he really wanted to. All round technique. Left foot, right foot. The best I've ever seen.
Really?
Ever.
Wow, that's big words.
He could hit a penalty, right foot, left foot, wouldn't make a difference. You've seen him he hits free kicks, corners, left foot, right foot, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's the most naturally 2-footed player I've ever seen. Yeah. I can remember the first time I met him, you might laugh about this, he loves the show, by the way. He's an avid listener. I bet he's listening to wait and see if I picked him. But he came in, obviously he plugged himself as a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I was playing that position at the time.
Right,
I remember we trained at Bacolod, and Weiss would always like to have pretty feisty sessions, and he knew what he was doing. He would always sort of put you against your direct opposition. So I think we played like a 3-team tournament, 7v7v7. And just battered him. Anytime he got the ball, smashed. Like, and I remember after the session, he was like, "Is training always like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's always like that, mate." And then he then went and did some finishing, I think, with Neil or something like that. He did some finishing, and while the guys that were going to play, because he couldn't play, I think he hadn't got his passport or something like that.
Sure.
So he went away and did some finishing, and Neil came back. Neil came back after this session. It was like, I don't know what I've just seen. Like, I don't know if he's right-footed, left-footed. He just gets the ball, right foot smashed, left foot smashed. Most powerful shots he'd ever seen.
Wow.
Unbelievable, right? So obviously we got to know each other a little bit better, and played in his debut as well. Dooley's first game in charge.
Yeah.
Which would have been Malaysia away, and obviously started off as a centre midfielder, but I think at right back, he's sort of found a new lease of life playing there. Yeah. Like his attacking prowess is accentuated in that role. His delivery to the box is top notch. He can go on the outside. He can cut in onto his left. He can play inside and join in and play almost like an auxiliary sort of defensive midfielder, like if needed. Good in the tackle, hard to beat 1v1. You know, again, half decent in the air for someone diminutive. I mean, Rotta's got all of those attributes as well.
Yeah.
So tough pick there. I'll probably put Martin ahead of him as well. He's got 42 caps, 3 goals. Rotta's got 40 caps, 2 goals. Anton 47 caps, 2 goals. But Martin, I think, like set piece delivery, for example, like he's great from set play. So 100%. I think like his ability to create an opportunity is one of those things that I think would put him slightly ahead of those other 2.
I actually chose Martin against my own bias.
Okay. Who was your original pick?
Well, as I said, I had Shraki at the right wing.
Okay.
But I didn't want to make a choice at right back because it's a tough one. You had Simone, Carly, Anton Del Rosario. For me, I had Anton also and Stoible in that mix. And being as you and I worked for Kaya for a while, and seeing Martin playing for Ceres and having him be a key figure for Ceres in those feisty matches, you know, it colors the way you see people. And
he's a nightmare to play against.
Exactly, that's why.
I mean, we get along fine.
Yeah.
But on the pitch, like even as a coach and player,
yeah,
we go at it all the time.
So emotionally, he's on the wrong end of that story.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Always,
so, but all the things you said about Martin are even more. I mean, I didn't know about his finishing and his capability with left foot, right foot, but his quality in defense, again, one of those feisty characters that are difficult, who are willing to battle. And that kind of puts him in the same range as Anton. Anton is a battler.
Definitely.
Right? He loves that. He's instigating battles on his own, personally. He's doing it to his attacker, which is always fun to watch. But
Joey, I want to butt in there.
Go ahead.
There's something really, really intriguing that not many people know about Anton. And I get all of the plaudits for the goal, like injury time goal I scored against Singapore.
Yeah.
I get all the plaudits.
Yeah. Was that his cross?
No. James's cross.
Yeah.
Right, and James wants to get more credit for that, but whatever. It's an awful cross. Just happened to come to me. Well, people don't realise about 3 or 4 minutes before I score, Anton puts in one of the worst tackles I've ever seen. Like, awful. Nowhere near the ball.
Yeah.
And he smashes Daniel Bennett.
Of Singapore.
Smashes him. Absolutely just obliterates him, right? If you actually watch the clip back, the ball goes in between, I think, one of their players and Daniel Bennett.
Yeah.
And he can't move.
Oh.
Daniel Bennett, under normal circumstances, gets to that ball 99 times out of 100.
Wow.
But I nip in between and I ended up poking it in.
Yeah.
But Anton was the one that did that. So he doesn't get any credit. Well, he shouldn't do. It was horrific. But the nuances of that goal,
right,
can all be traced back to that
smashing Daniel Bennett.
Yeah. So but back. Just sorry, I hate to butt in, but basically that was one of the things with Anton. Like, he definitely was an instigator. He was very provocative. He was someone he would poke the bear.
Absolutely.
And then see what happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes it will boil over and I'm thinking, just get through a game without fighting with someone, please. Yeah. But he needed that to get himself in the zone.
Yeah.
And then in the end, it was what gave us that sort of, like you said, that sort of fighting spirit, I think.
It was one of the most enjoyable things to watch, actually, because the team was defending most of the time during that time, during those days. And to see, the camera will come from the main cam, will cut into a tighter angle, and you just see him. He's talking smack the entire time.
So again, I'm going to butt in again, right, to back up your argument. If you're listening in the car and you got kids, send them out or put the earphones on for a little bit, because there's something that's really funny with him, right? So I'm going to tell a bit of a naughty story, so make sure your kids don't listen to this. I'll use some colourful language. So my brother played in the game. I forget which one it was, but we got like a DVD of the game. So I remember putting it on for my mum and dad when we got back, right? So my dad's watching it, and all of a sudden, it was an empty stadium, so you could hear what was going on. And then the microphone was obviously quite close to hit, because he played right back, so it was quite close to the touchline. And he's gone in for a tackle, and he's hit someone quite hard, and he's stayed down on the bench, but the microphone is literally within touching distance, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden, through the speakers of the television, you just hear, "Hey, get up, you fucking pussy!" And it's honestly, it's clear as day, mate. It's clear as day. And my dad was like, "Who's that guy?" And he's like, you can hear him going, "Yeah, come on, get up." I'm like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. But that was him in a nutshell. Yeah. That was literally him. Sorry. Yeah, kids can come back in the room now. You can turn up the speakers in the car. But yeah, that was him.
Yeah.
Such a provocative character, but for what we needed at the time, spot on.
Yeah. He doesn't make the all-time 11, but man, he deserves an honorable mention. Okay. That's for sure.
So you're picking Martin.
Yeah.
He's the pick.
Yeah, it's a tough one too, because Simone, heartstrings are with Simone, but You got to go with Martin here. And again, one of those players that it's going to play on.
Yeah.
He's going to keep that spot for a little while.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so Martin's in. Okay, so within this formation, we need a midfield configuration. Now, I think there needs to be a little bit of balance here. We can't just go wild with who we're going to pick, right?
Sure.
So I've got a defensive midfielder, a number 8 and a number 10. Creative midfielder type. So we've got 3 central midfielders. So do you want me to go through the list?
Go.
And I'll go through all this, and then we can make a configuration. You can adjust. You want to play 2 holding, 1 whatever. I don't mind. So we've got my 3 defensive midfielders. Strauss, who is the one, 10 caps. Yeah, 10 caps. So we just about nicked him. Ingresso. Lucena. Okay, so then the 3 defensive midfield players I had in mind. Number 8s. Manny Ott, myself, Alvin Ocampo.
Wow.
Right?
Throwback. Is it Thursday today? It's Friday.
Flashback
Friday. Yeah.
I'll come on to him in a minute. Number 10s, attacking midfield players. Moulders.
Ooh.
Ian Araneta, I've put in that role.
Okay.
And Shockey.
Sure. No Jason De Jong?
No.
All right.
I think with this mix of players, listen, Jerry Lucena is in.
That's the other one, Jerry Lucena. You mentioned him?
Yeah.
All right. I thought you missed him.
No. So basically, why some people have been omitted is Jerry Lucena is in.
This is not a conversation.
No, not really. I put other names in just to fill the slot. Jerry is in. I said on the previous, he's the best.
Tell me why.
He is the most comfortable player that I played with. Like, he would get the ball in the tightest situations and look like, nah, it's okay. I'll just receive it here with 3 guys around me. I'll take a touch away from pressure and then I'll just keep the ball moving.
Yeah.
No problem. Never looked flustered. He just always looked like he had so much time. He just had more time than everyone else.
Sure.
Just a sign of, it was just a sign of a great player.
Yeah.
Like, his positional sense was impeccable. He was much better defensively than people give him credit for.
Didn't he play in defense from time to time as well?
Sometimes. I even considered putting him at centre back just to free up an additional midfield slot.
Right.
But it's not his position. He's a defensive midfield player. And he was the link between the back line and the forwards.
Yeah.
He was the one who, he would get on the ball in tight, be willing to accept the ball in tight spaces, be willing to receive the ball between the lines under pressure, and maintain possession. I always, even me to an extent, like, I knew once we started progressing through the levels and we were playing against somebody's top, like, play UAE or something like that.
Sure.
I was limited in my ability to receive the ball in extra tight spaces and be able to manipulate my way out of certain situations. I just wasn't as good as him at doing it.
Right.
And if we intended to continue to progress through the sort of beyond that Southeast Asian season, if we intended to go into these Asian Cups and play at that level, we needed more players of his caliber. Temperament was spot on.
Yeah.
Quite quiet, quite unassuming, but put a drink in him, he was an absolute liability. But super nice guy, really easy to talk to. Just a nice guy, all round nice bloke. Like,
where did he play? Denmark.
I haven't got his statistics in terms of club statistics in terms but he played at the high. I remember when we played UAE, he'd just come back from playing in a Europa League tie against Fiorentina.
Wow.
So he was, and I think that would have been maybe quarterfinals, last 16, something like that. So he was playing at that sort of level, like higher levels of European football. By all accounts, speaking to different people from Denmark, very highly regarded in Scandinavian football. Very, very highly regarded.
Because of this, Azkals all-time 11, I found myself watching some random Danish match to see how Jerry Lucena was playing at a league match.
Yeah.
He's the easiest person to spot too. He's the only guy with a head of black hair.
Yeah.
Everybody else is blonde over there, and you can just see him. Chill in the middle of the pitch. As you mentioned, just a cool customer on the ball, man. And I remember having him and thinking like, wow, this is the level that we're at now. We have players like Jerry Lucena who can control the ball like this. So he's definitely in my.
He's in, yeah. Okay,
in my midfield.
So again, special mention to Kevin Ingresso and Strauss, because Strauss I don't think has accumulated enough games just yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's on the path, isn't he? Like,
ask us in 5 years. You know what I mean?
He reminds me like I said Brian Robson, which might be a bit before most people's time. But like my dad was like really into Brian Robson, like just an all-action midfield. He could do everything. Strauss, I think he's another one. He can do everything. You know, I think he should be someone who definitely, maybe hopefully in the next 20 years, he'll be the Jerry Lucena of that in terms of anchoring that particular spot. And then Kevin, if you look at Kevin, how he's evolved, I mean, he was, I don't want to say a bit part, but he definitely wasn't, you know, now his feet's firmly under the table. I think he's definitely someone who can make that position his own.
Yeah.
He's obviously the goal that he scored in Asian Cup, you know, immortalizes him forever.
He scored in the Asian Cup?
No, the for the qualifiers.
Right. In the qualifiers.
You did the commentary.
Yeah.
You did the commentary for it.
That's
so,
right.
you know, he will forever be synonymous with that campaign now.
Yeah.
Again, great on the ball, all-action midfielder, can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You know, distribution-wise, he can long range, short range.
Yeah.
You know, he's great. He can tackle. Again, set-piece specialist, another one. Well, yeah, I don't know who's taking set pieces on this team, but his set-piece deliveries. He scored a great goal, didn't he, on the weekend? I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, club. Yeah, against Storybase team, Taiport. So yeah, set-piece specialist. So he's actually the top scorer out. 29 games, 3 goals, and the most goals out of those 3.
Wow.
So, but I think for me, Jerry is the lock-in for that spot.
So he's your 6. He's your defensive midfielder.
Yeah, if you want to play that. I mean, what do you want to do? You want to play a double 6? So basically we need to fill two more spots. So we've got Manny Ott, myself, Alvin Ocampo, Moulders, Ian Aronette, and Shockey.
So tough, man. This is the tough one. I have a weakness for Manny.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 individuals here.
Yeah.
I think Stefan Schrock is the one that you have to throw in.
Yeah.
So it.
I'll tell you, go on. I picked Shockey too.
Right. So Schrock is in.
So I picked Shockey, 42 games, 6 goals. So the one thing that I said before off mic. So we got Moulders, Ian Aronette, and Shockey. Like Moulders, in terms of all-round ability, is another one who should be a shoe-in.
Even at 50 or whatever it is that he is. Right?
Yeah.
55.
Like, if you just, I remember when he was without a club, he asked Rob to put together like a little video clip of highlight reel of all of his games, and he had some clips from when he was playing in Holland, and you watch him in the Eredivisie just bully people.
Yeah.
Like bully people.
Wow.
He's the strongest man I've ever seen. I remember we played it was qualifiers, Challenge Cup qualifiers, and it was a day before we played Cambodia. He actually got sent off in that game, and we were in the gym because there was an issue with the pitch or something, so we went to the gym.
Right.
And he jumped up on the wide angle pull-up bar.
Yeah.
And he was banging out wide arm pull-ups. He must have done about 50. And he was like talking to people while he was doing it.
This is some legendary stories about Paul Moulders.
He's one of the strongest people.
Yeah, machine, absolute machine. There was a match quite recently where he came on, and it's like, what? Why is Paul Moulders still being considered? I mean, he's a little bit older now, and then he hasn't been part of the setup, and then he gets thrown in. Yeah. And we were thinking, maybe 70 max. Yeah. He hasn't been playing. Plays 90, no problem. Yeah. I think he played extra.
Yeah.
Beast of a player.
Yeah.
And technically, as you said, I think very, very good. So Paul Moulders, jokes aside, I think should definitely be in contention. But when you're comparing him to Stefan Schrock, he brings something a little extra in terms of being able to unlock defenses. He might pass a stray ball 3-4 times in quick succession, but that 5th time that he gets through and he finds that pass, it's a goal. You know what I mean? And I've seen him all throughout this PFL campaign, this last one. Yeah. It's basically, it's a tight game for 80 minutes, and then Schrock decides that, I'm going to obliterate my right back or my left back, and then he's going to put in a cross, and boom, it's done. And he's been doing that for a while now here in the Philippines. And impact-wise, Stefan Schrocki is one of the most recognizable guys as well.
Yeah.
Performance level is incredible. And he's tough to argue against being on this list.
I think one of the things that Schrocki and I would always talk about, I would always make fun of his goal return.
Sure.
Right? I would always be like, scored more goals than you, don't I? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You make out you're this attacking midfield player. Don't score any goals, mate.
Yeah.
But no, he's an absolute shoo-in. And I think, like you said, I don't know what his assist stats are like, but I'd imagine they're probably pretty high.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's always there and thereabouts. And like, although, like you said, he might be, you might think that something's a little over elaborate. Or you might think, I don't know what he's seen there.
Yeah.
But then he'll see something that no one else has seen.
Exactly.
And then it'll come up with that little bit of magic to unlock a defence, and then you win a game 1-0.
Exactly.
So, I think he's a shoo-in. So, okay, so we've got defensive midfielder. So that leaves us with, you can pick whoever you want for that last spot.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. You got Manny.
Yeah.
You got yourself.
Yeah.
And who else?
Alvin Ocampo is in that mix, but then I don't mind if you want to mix. You can put an Ingresser with Strauss. You can put a Moulders in one of those other positions.
Yeah,
I don't mind. So you can pick one of any of those remaining players. I've got Ian Araneta as well. 47 games, 9 goals.
If you had said
so in terms of goals per game ratio, he's the best. Just so you're aware of the stats.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ian Araneta. I really enjoyed watching him play when we were younger. Him, Chiefy, Yanti Barsalis for Philippine Air Force. What a treat. I just don't think he matches up to Schrocki too well.
Yeah. That's fine.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
When you're talking about the 8 position, you got yourself.
Yeah.
Manny scored that wonderful goal against North Korea. Technique is there. The one thing that I have a hard time choosing Manny, even though initially he was the number 1. He was the first person on my sheet in the midfield.
Yeah.
But then you start looking back and you're like, oh no, like Jerry's there, right? You're thinking about him. And you're thinking about what got me was that feistiness. Manny, I think he's shown it in the past, but he's just not that type of player.
No.
Right? He's not going to get in there and get stuck in and intimidate the other guy. He's going to play around you. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
And that makes it tough because this is where my bias plays in. And the fact that you're looking at me really intently at the moment.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see what you say.
No. This is, to me, the reason why I choose yourself as part of this list is because of the criteria that we mentioned earlier. And the joy that you brought me in those games that you scored the big goals, which were a few. There were a few games that you scored huge goals. I think the game against Singapore, I might be wrong here, but I think this is the game that stopped the match in the UFL. So during 2010, I was new. In the league was new. The UFL had just started. I myself, alongside Coco, were the first 2 real sort of employees that were brought on board.
Right.
I only wanted to write about the matches, but they said you're also going to be part of the technical team. So I was essentially doing like technical director stuff, assistant technical director work, which I had no business doing, honestly. But we were there at Nomads watching the game, pitch side where the bar was. Union was playing against some other team, and we were losing 1-0, 93rd minute, was it?
Yep.
You latched onto the cross, and we scored. It was unheard of. I was technical director, assistant technical director. We had the schedule made so that you guys would pop out of the group stage.
Right.
And slot right back into the UFL as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
Right? There were no expectations. Yeah. 0 expectations. No. That goal comes in, we go wild.
Yeah.
The game stops, like, what's going on? Did we actually score against Singapore? Like, it's a draw. We've got a chance to qualify now. So that was a huge moment for me.
Yeah.
A big feeling of like, wow, this is crazy. This is madness. What's going on? We scored against Singapore. And then to do that, to score again against Vietnam. Oof, that was a feeling. What a feeling that was. Like, that is going to go with me until I am old and gray. 2010, to score against Vietnam, and then to have Phil seal it late in the second half. It was just like, it's difficult to explain. Like it feels like it's a dream. Like what is going on? I don't understand. I remember going to Market of all places after that match from Nomads, having a drink with Coco and Cyril Dufitas. Yeah. We got buzzed there, and then I went to Magallanes for some reason. I went to meet a friend, and I had taken my longboard with me. I had been longboarding around at that time.
Yeah.
I remember being inebriated enough that I'd fallen off maybe 3 times.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't even a slope road. It was it was just a regular. And I remember falling off and laughing every time and just cheering on my own, like, oh man, we're going potentially to the semifinals of the Suzuki Cup.
Yeah.
So I think in that regard, in the joy that your goals brought me, I'd have to put you on this list.
Okay.
Right? And of course you tick the boxes of like, feisty character. Not gonna take any shit on the field, which is big for me. You know, like I appreciate a good technical player, but I love a player who battles on the pitch. I really enjoy that, especially watching us defend for 90 minutes at a time during those days. So I would put you in.
Okay. I'll pick Manny up.
Well, understandable. You can't be choosing yourself. It's not a good look.
Well, I mean, I think people will be quite surprised. A lot of people probably think I would pick myself.
Yeah?
Yeah. You just met me. Listen, I picked Manny. I think he's a better player than me. You need someone maybe a bit different. Like if you're going to go, like Shockey's not short of he's pretty crazy himself, right? Yeah. So if you go with 2 quite feisty characters, I don't know. I think maybe you need a bit more quality on the ball. Like maybe I think in terms of the chemistry of the team, he would probably fit that mold a little bit more.
Sure.
Like Manny. I remember the Suzuki Cup 2014. That was really the sort of the passing of the baton, because it was like I had played all the friendlies leading up to that.
Yeah.
I remember Dooley pulling me into his hotel room and said, well, I'm going to give Manny a game against, I think it's Cambodia or something. We played in the last friendly or something like that. Cambodia or Laos. And he said, I haven't really played Manny that much. So I'm going to play him in this game. I'm thinking, right, well, I get to play against Thailand away where we get smacked. And then the week before we travel, you're going to give him his chance. And then Manny scored, I think, within the first 5 minutes or something. Yeah. He played a full night and played a good game. And he started in that Suzuki Cup, played really well, scored that wonderful goal against Indonesia. Do you remember that one?
No. But he scored a lot of good goals.
I remember that one. And then I remember, what was the other goal he scored? What was the other really... The North Korea goal was obviously... Yeah. So I remember those 2.
That's one thing that he does bring to the table, is that ability to fire from just outside the box.
Yeah, he arrives, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's good at arrive. I mean, I was more like in the box. I'd be there to stick it in from 2 yards. That was like my thing, right? But he's got that ability definitely from in and around the edge of the box.
Yeah.
He finds either half a yard finishes. I definitely agree with that. Great. Again, dead ball wizard. You know, I think he's great with set plays.
Distribution's good too.
Distribution's good. Yeah, I mean, you said he scored. That was maybe for me the only negative. Actually, I don't think he scored enough. 50 caps, 4 goals. I mean, obviously we're talking about a higher caliber of player, opponent. Sorry, in his time potentially. So maybe that's something he could potentially add. Yeah. I mean, he's going to get 100 caps if he keeps going the way he's going. Yeah. So maybe that will be something that he as he gets older, because for me that was the case. As I got older, I became a little more, so not prolific anyway, but I scored more goals. So maybe that's something he would develop, because he's still only young.
Yeah.
He's still only young.
A little unlucky with the injuries in the last couple of years, I would say, right? He took a couple blows to the face, then he had a knee issue.
So I think time's on his side. I mean, Alvin Ocampo is one we haven't mentioned. Who, when I came into the mix, he was top level, and that was even towards the end of his career. So I would hate to see him before that, you know. So maybe he's probably one who, again, he might have been from the era before me. Probably that if it was an Azkals 11 from the the decade before.
Yeah,
he might have been able to sort of nick into this lineup. Could Moulders do that job? Moulders could. We could argue Moulders potentially in that position, but it's tough. I get what you like with me. I definitely there's other players I think are better footballers than I was. Like obviously I was synonymous with pivotal goals, pivotal moments, which then gives you like people. It's more memorable, isn't it? Like I remember talking to Neil. This is obviously pre kind of when he went to the Premier League and stuff, but he was like, when you scored against Singapore, he'd never experienced like a buzz like it.
Yeah,
like that, just absolute, just pandemonium. Yeah, which was quite ironic because I remember we then went to the Maldives, and Moulders said exactly the same thing about my goal against the Maldives.
Oh yeah,
in the semis, which that goal doesn't get enough credit.
That's right.
That goal actually at the time, because obviously when we made the final, but we didn't qualify.
Yeah.
So for those who don't remember, it was I come on at the end of the 90 minutes, I think. Game went to extra time. I scored in extra time to propel us to the finals of the Challenge Cup.
3-2.
3-2, yeah. And then we sort of held out in the last 15 minutes and then we qualified. But that obviously, if we'd have won that final against Palestine, we would have gone to the Asian Cup proper, which would have been the first time.
Yeah.
And then, so that goal's got a little bit forgotten, but at the time, it was probably the most important goal I'd ever scored. So I was always known as someone who scored goals in kind of in the big moments. Yeah. And I mean, it's nice. It's a nice moniker to have, I guess. It's not. It's nice to be synonymous with those types of moments. So
I feel like if you're not a football fan or you don't understand football, people are always wondering like, man, this 90 minutes is 0-0 or whatever. It's like 0-0, nothing happened. Yeah. It's like, it's such a long. It's like a delayed gratification. That's what football is, right? It takes forever. But when you witness something like that, then you understand. Yeah. That one goal at the 93rd minute, it's like it makes it worth it. Like you understand it. It puts it into perspective why people go crazy over football, right? That's a special thing. That's a special gift to give fans to have them witness something of such drama. Yeah. That laid on with so much weight hanging on that goal, like those are huge. Those are huge contributions to the game, I would say. Okay, so I'll give you the pick because it's me. We'll leave that one. Okay. We'll leave that one. All right. So I'll see how there's one slot in narcissistic I'm feeling by the end of this episode, or maybe we'll let the fans decide. I don't know. We'll go back. So we'll finish with that one. But okay. But I think there's at least 2 out of 3 slots. I'm probably going to side with myself if I'm being perfectly honest, and let you have that. Sorry, pick. Manny. So yes, unlucky Manny. He'll make the next one. Yeah. Worst case scenario. But I'll think about it. I'll leave that one for now. We'll deliberate that one last one. But okay. So the front line. Do you want to? I tell you what, we can probably do this as a 3 because I think we can. Some of them might be interchangeable. So I'll tell you what the front 3 was, and then we can sort of put one on the left, one on the right, and then we'll figure it out. Sure. Right? Okay. So James Younghusband, Phil Younghusband, Chiefy, right, was one proposed front 3. Patrick Reischel, Javier Patino, Ian Ramsey. Was another proposed front 3. Yeah. All right. Angel Garrado. Wow. Yeah. Freddie Gonzalez. Freddie. Misak Bahaduran. That is a guy that probably doesn't get enough credit. Misak. 56 caps. Yeah. 8 goals. I don't know if it's true. That's Wikipedia. But 56 caps, 8 goals. That's a return, by the way. Yeah. That's a great return. And in the qualifiers leading up to making it to the Asian Cup, I think it was the first half where he was just on fire. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. And it's funny because like you see him make like a 10-yard pass that he doesn't connect it. You know what I mean? Like, come on, Misak. That was like a simple pass. But then he works his socks off, doesn't he? And then like he in and around the box, he has a knack for scoring goals, doesn't he? Like, so I mean, he's in, and a lot of people put his name in there, threw his name in there. He's popular figure amongst the fans. Yeah. So his name was in there. I mean, on that right hand side, he's got Reischel and James Younghusband to compete with, though. Yeah. So that's Tough.
Reischel, 59 caps, 10 goals. Again, another one he used to make fun of for not scoring that many goals.
Yeah.
He's ahead of me now, so I can't really say anything. And then James Younghusband, 101 caps, 12 goals.
Jeez. 101 caps for James.
Yeah, so that's and then I'll give you the options on the other side. So then we've got Angel Garrado, Ian Ramsey, and then Chiefy.
I think we're only playing for one spot here.
Okay, so who's one in for sure?
For me,
yeah,
Phil is in the middle.
Okay, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So let's not even discuss Phil because he's the lead. He's the highest scorer.
Yeah.
In the history of the country, over 100 caps, talking about significant goals, contribution to the game, immense character, right? And then on his left, I would put Chiefy Kaligdong.
Mm-hmm.
That is for me wearing number 13 today.
Yeah, representing today.
I think it's because prior to 2010, prior to the explosion, Chiefy Kaligdong represented something for me already. He scored those 2 goals against Timor-Leste in a game that nobody was watching. Nobody cared about the Tiger Cup, unfortunately. But I was one of those people who would be stuck in my living room alone watching these games and to see how we would perform. And this was a game that we had a chance. And to see Chiefy come on, score 2 late goals, that was my first introduction into the Azkals.
Yeah.
That really got me on board. Like, wow. We have a player that is of this quality, and he was outside of the 11. He wasn't even part of the 11 yet. He was just outside of it. He earned his spot after scoring those 2 goals. Started in the next match, scored again. I think it was a loss, but regardless, he was back on the score sheet. And then I'd come back and started working for the UFL, and I would.
Do you want to go? Can I go back on that one?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So we talked a little bit about it in the Anton Del Rosario episode, which will air soon. And Aris's camp at the time, so this is the 2004 Tiger Cup.
Yeah. We
had about 50 men in the squad. And pretty much each day, he'd just whittle it down. So he'd just be like, such and such, come to my office. And then 10 minutes later, his bags were packed.
Wow.
Yeah, ready to go. So every day was a grind. And every day it was just a case of, right, you got to put in the performance of your life just to stay in.
Jeez.
Just to stay in, right? And Chiefy was, he's, undersized, lively, but he was competing with, you had the likes of Ariel Zarudo, you had Peter Haugan in that group. And he was probably, he wasn't a sure pick to even make the squad.
Yeah.
So you've got that to contend with. Then he makes the lineup. We go. He's not in the 11, so Peter Haugan starts. I think Ariel was in the lineup as well.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't his debut because he'd featured in the previous games, but in that Timor-Leste game, he came on. Didn't really expect too much. We were getting beat 1-0. Absolute disaster of a game. We played poor.
Yeah.
We were really poor. And we'd sort of changed to, like, can we just get it up to Ali?
Right.
Flick it on or hold, set it down, then we'll try and build from, position high up the pitch. And he would just gamble. He knew that Ali was strong in the air. Because Ali was playing striker at this time.
Yeah, yeah.
Flicked it on. Chiefy comes through, scores, equaliser, 89th minute. Whoa, amazing.
Yeah.
2 minutes later, ball up to Ali, flick on, Chiefy goes through, scores.
Yeah.
Incredible to get our first, at the time, Tiger Cup, then latterly known as the Suzuki Cup. And then he scored against Thailand, and that was an absolute breakout tournament for him.
Yeah.
And then he managed to sort of keep his spot, stuck around. But if I'm synonymous with important goals, Chiefy just iconic goals. The Mongolia goal,
that's ridiculous,
was just as iconic as it gets. The chip over the guy's head, and then a little bit. The finish was through the legs, but trademark celebration. The fans and their affinity towards him. I definitely think you talk about underdog, like him. He's on paper.
Yeah.
Someone who had absolutely no right being in that team.
Yeah.
Like by that time we had an influx of people like myself. We had people who were even much higher pedigree than me who were in the squad then. A lot of the homegrown players had been pushed out.
Yeah.
And yet here was this guy, 5'0".
Exactly.
Still around.
Yeah.
And still holding his own.
Exactly.
And more so. And, even look at the goals that he scored. I remember the one against the volley against Vietnam in Suzuki Cup 2012. Angel Garrado receives the ball on the sort of corner of the box, and he sort of angles the. Was it Vietnam? I better get this game right. It was Vietnam.
Yeah.
It was Vietnam, and he's angled the ball. Angel's hit a great ball, sort of curved it around the back of the defence, but it's taken a bounce, and then from quite a difficult angle, but Chiefy just delivered it, bang, great finish, and that after the first round, the first game defeat against Thailand, where we lost 2-1.
Yeah.
We had to win that game.
Right.
We had to win the Vietnam game. If we didn't, we were out. And that was, at the time, that was actually, I reckon even to this day, that was the best squad I'd ever seen.
2012.
2012. You actually go through the squad list, take Shrocki out, and maybe insert Neil in if he was around. That, in terms of training, the level was incredible. It was like unbelievable. Like first team against the second team was much more intense than it was in the real games. The level was incredible.
And again, Chiefy was there. Yeah.
And it wasn't just this. He was a pivotal player for us.
Yeah.
And had a real say in us qualifying out of that group. So, iconic goals. Incredible personality, someone who the fans could really relate to as well. I think the average guy on the street,
I certainly
you could see him, and definitely that feeds into that underdog narrative, which is like he definitely should not be there.
Yeah,
right. He shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
but with hard work, with perseverance, he's a personality as well. He's got great personality.
100%. Yeah,
that's what you can achieve, and I think that. Everyone can relate to that.
If you looked over and Chiefy was like built like Amari Aguinaldo, you'd be like, all right, yeah, sure.
Makes sense.
Whatever, right?
Adds up, yeah.
But he's not. He's like slightly bigger than me, which is not very, it's not a physique that you would, look out for an athlete. You know what I mean? So I'd stand next to him at the games and I was like, wow, man, this is Chiefy. And you see him doing it week in, week out, where he's not taking any nonsense from anybody either. People think that he's a nice guy, which he is, but on the pitch, he was kind of fiery character as well. You know, he was not somebody who was a stranger to yellow cards and going into the referee's book for silly challenges. So he was such a cool person to look at and see that, wow, anybody from the provinces of Iloilo, where he was from, or where he is from, or from any other province in the Philippines, you could look at this guy and be like, hey, if I stick with it. And his story is interesting too, because like you said, like the pathway into the 11 wasn't clear cut for him.
No, not so.
Right? There was a lot of perseverance, a lot of mental strength that needed to be applied. And talk about a guy who was able to take his life to the next level through football, right?
Yeah.
Get himself out of the Air Force, get himself into Green Archers, get himself into academy, be sponsored by Globe. I mean, he's moved his entire family to Canada.
Yeah.
His kids are educated very well. In fact, they've got quite the accent when you speak to them as well. He's done a great amount of of work on his own life, not just his footballing career, but he's utilized the platform of football to really uplift himself. Yeah, and he's a fantastic example of that. And then when you look at his goals record, his pivotal goals,
69 caps, 16 goals.
It's incredible. So I think
stacks up against anyone.
It's difficult to argue against Chiefy Caligdong.
Yeah, I think also like Angel, 37, 10 goals, good return. Yeah. Ian, 31 caps, 4 goals. I mean, he's another one who's been involved in. Was involved in the North Korea game heavily, and I think both of those two would be easy picks under normal circumstances. Both obviously still involved in the national team. So again, maybe down the road for those two guys for the next 20 years. But I think. Yeah, all round, I think when you look at, especially from the contribution standpoint, like not just on the field but off the field, I think there's no one more iconic.
Yeah, for me
than Chiefy. So we've got two. Yeah. So we're now down with two of the 3 spots. So the last one. So you can pick any of those ones to take that right midfield spot, or you can go with one of the 3 names that I've already selected.
Which were Reischel,
Misag, James Young Husband.
Or
you can shift a Ramsey or a Garrado or you haven't. So you completely dismissed Javier Patino, by the way. 20 caps, 7 goals. That's less than 1 in 3.
Normally, I'd have Javier there. He was one of the people that I was considering early on.
Yeah.
Except that he was in the same spot as Phil Younghusband.
Yeah.
And initially, I had my squad shaped in such a way that I needed to get Chiefy in there.
Yeah.
And I needed to get Phil up front.
Okay.
So
right.
Javier had been bypassed.
Okay. All right. So he's out. So yeah, that leaves us with one spot.
Yeah. On the right side, it's difficult to choose against. The person that's coming to mind is Patrick Reischel.
Yeah.
Only because
James Young was 101 caps.
Right. It's true. It's true, James.
You're going to upset someone.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to upset someone. So you're saying it's a 2-horse race?
Because I like the pace that Reischel brings. He's good in the air as well, surprisingly so, given his size. He gets on the ball in the air a lot. And I think...
He's got a knack for scoring goals as well.
That's true. That's the thing.
He's amazing at table tennis.
Is that right? Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Nothing, really.
Yeah.
But he's never beaten me. You can have that on record.
Oh, wow.
So
you're just throwing that out there just to add that into the mix? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know how that's relevant.
Because I still haven't been officially picked. So I just want to say that's another thing that you can add to my in the yes column. Yeah, nothing really. I don't know why I threw it out. But I think Reischel is his ability to score key goals in key moments, especially against, I think, a higher caliber of opposition, sets him apart in this particular category.
Sure.
James is 101 caps, 12 goals, and of those 12 goals, I mean, I think I said it on the show, the most underrated goal of all time is his one against. I've got to get this right now. The one in Laos in the build-up to Suzuki Cup, the equaliser against Laos.
Which one is this?
The header.
In 2010. 2010.
Yeah. That goal is just, it's largely like bypassed. It's not even, people don't even make note of it. If he hadn't scored that goal,
right, we
would probably not be sitting here having this conversation. So in order for us to qualify, they had to get at least a draw against Laos. And he scored the goal, I think it was like the 96th minute or something.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to look past him. Again, like you said, Reischel is a current player. He's another one who's got potential for 100 caps.
Yeah.
He could be a 100 capper for sure. And if he gets 100 caps, he's probably going to get 25, 30 goals, I reckon.
Could be.
You know? And maybe he might fall short a little bit on just the time in which he came to the fore.
Yeah.
Because I think, James has only recently come out. And if you look back over that 20-year span, I mean, he is a fulcrum of that team in any era, any generation of the last 20 years. So,
true.
I think for me, 101 caps, 12 goals. Again, size-wise, he had the knack of popping up at the right place at the right time again. Defensively, I think that's massively underrated, is how diligent a worker he is. Like, if you look at that 2010 campaign, I mean, I don't know what the stats were on his miles covered, but it would have been through the roof, like an absolute workhorse.
Yeah.
Which you don't really associate that with James.
Yeah.
And it's only recently that he's come out of the national team. I mean, he was in the squad for Asian Cup, for example. So, I'm trying to think of other, like the North Korea game. He was. I mean, he came on at 2-1, completely changed the game.
Yeah.
Even people underestimate his impact in the Tajikistan game as well.
Really?
I mean, he came on at 1-0. He came in at 1-0 down, and we came off 2-1. And that's also a bad one because Patrick also had a significant impact. He came off the bench in that game.
Right.
But I think James is an impact substitute. His role, his ability to impact the game in that role,
right,
unbelievable. Patrick Reischel, what I would say in your defence is he, for me, is the ultimate comeback king.
Yeah.
The amount of times when we've had a right midfielder come in or an attacking player and they've been like, right, well, he's out now.
Yeah.
That guy's going to be, he's going to hold down that number 7 spot.
Yeah.
It's happened so many times. I remember when we qualified for the Challenge Cup and we beat Turkmenistan at home. Do you remember that game? We won 1-0. Phil scored.
Okay.
And then he got sent off. Do you remember that game?
No.
Remember that game? Rizal?
Vaguely.
Great
Yeah.
game. Great game. Pashik wasn't even in the squad.
Yeah.
Moise had just been like, no, just
he
done with you.
That's right. There was a time he went through a difficult spell.
And he had some really bad injuries.
Correct.
Like absolute comeback king.
Yeah.
If we were naming subs, I'd just have him on the bench for that. Do you know what I mean? I just have him because he's just. I mean, he's been incredible in that role. I'm not saying he hasn't been a great start. I'm not saying he shouldn't. He could easily be a pick on this. For me, though, I think if you're talking about of the last 20 years, actually, really sort of think about it in the broader context. James has to be in.
I'm not going to argue against that.
Okay.
I mean, especially this is a 20-year all-time list, right?
20 years.
People will be relevant, will be familiar with Phil and James and everybody else 2010 onwards.
Yeah.
But you guys, you were in the squad prior to them arriving.
Yeah.
Right? You were 2004?
Yeah.
2004.
Yeah.
And they
I
arrived
played in that game where Chiefy scored the 2 goals.
And they were, when did Phil and James arrive? 2006?
Year
later. Yeah, 2005, right?
SEA Games.
So they've been with the squad 5 years prior to the explosion.
Yeah.
And they were building around you guys and the young husbands. And you guys were a fulcrum of that team. Like there was a real core of that squad moving forward. So there was a huge part of the transition as well. I mean, you guys survived after the 2010 and then moving to a different manager and, sort of like there was an influx of more talent and you guys remained. So, I would agree that, James deserves to be on that list, particularly with those numbers. I mean, you can't argue against that.
Can't argue with that, can you?
Over a century of caps, 12 goals, it's tough.
It's decent. It's decent. I mean, okay, let's nail him in then. I'm going to put him in.
All right.
So I think we're set for our 11.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, one spot. Do you nail yourself in there?
No, you know what? I've been thinking about it while you were talking. I was like, no, I'm putting myself in. So that's official. Well, no, you picked me.
Yeah,
you picked me, and I just agreed.
Yeah.
Right. So let's just leave it at that. So let's just clarify this.
Yeah.
First. So Neil Etheridge in goal. Martin Stoibley right back. Daisuke Sato left back.
Yeah.
Ali Borromeo and Rob Gear centre backs. Jerry Lacena, Chris Greatwich, Stefan Strock in midfield. James Younghusband, Phil Husband, Chiefy Caledon.
Yeah.
That's the lineup.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's decent. I'm happy with that. Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
I want to just go through now a couple of things. So I have a list of names of lineups that were selected from our audience, from our fans, via our social media platforms. So I'm just going to go through that list now, and then we'll see who came close to it, or see who had some interesting lineups, interesting selections.
Sure.
So thank you for those who sent in their lineups. If when you listen to this podcast you agree, disagree, make sure you put a comment on our Facebook page, on our YouTube links, or any of our social media platforms. So make sure you do that. But I'm just going to go and grab my phone. 1 second.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, sorry, I had to charge it. I was busy doing some stuff. But let me just get the lineup up. I think, but for a large portion of the Philippine football community, I'm going to say 7 or 8 out of those 11 were consensus picks.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Were consensus picks. So let me just go through. I'll open up. Our lovely Jan had put together this beautiful little document here. So I'm going to shout out to Jan. Okay, so we've got a couple of people here on our Facebook page. Should I tell you what Ariel Sorrentes put?
Go ahead, yeah,
mate,
sure.
It was horrific, right? It was literally, I think, even picked Coach Noel as the coach. Like, he just basically picked all the people he liked. So he's picked Neil Etheridge in goal, Sato, Gear, Borromeo, Del Rosario. Midfield of Caledon, Schrock, Greatwich. Forwards, Phil Younghusband, Patino, Bedick.
Oh, all right. Joe makes the cut. Well, I don't think he has enough caps.
I don't think he has enough caps.
Yeah.
As much as I like Joe. He even did subs.
Did he?
I think he did subs as well, but it's not down here. But yeah, I'm going to dismiss some of those.
Yeah.
Just because he's Ariel and he works for Kaya. So he can't be picking some of those people. But I thought that was an interesting lineup. Who else have we got here? This was an interesting lineup. So we had Christian Cartagena Abalade. So I hope I got that right. So he's got Neil Etheridge in goal. Stoible, Gear, Silva. So he picked Silva.
Yeah.
And Deniz Khakkhara. So another name that
Sure.
we'd sort of had mentioned. Reischel, Lucena, Ott, Schrock was a midfield 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then Patino and Phil Younghusband up front.
That's a really
That's
good
a pretty
lineup.
good lineup as well. And in fairness, he did subs. Falcasgard, Aguinaldo, Sato, me, Ramsey, James Younghusband, and Dennis Wolf. We put Dennis Wolf in there, which is a bit of a...
Wow.
Yeah, for me, phenomenal player, Wolfie, but didn't play enough.
Yeah.
Didn't play enough caps to warrant selection.
That's more of that's an entry to let you know that he's aware of the Azkals history.
I think so.
You know what I mean?
I think so. Gerard Tuasson put down Etheridge, Sato, Gear, Khakkhara, so he went with 3 at the back as well. Ott, Greatwich, Schrock, Chiefy, midfield, and then a front 3 of Reichelt, Patino, and Bedic. Another one for Joven.
Yeah. Gerard is a Kaya fan.
And he also put down as subs Ace Villanueva, who I think has 0 caps. So I'm not too sure what he's done. He's got Juani Garado, Borromeo, Manny Ott, James Younghusband, Misag, and Phil. So, Gerard, I'm not going to accept that one. You can't put Ace Villanueva as your sub on the bench.
Did he have Phil on the bench? What?
Phil on the bench as well.
How dare you?
I think that's blasphemy.
How dare you?
That's blasphemy almost. Okay, another one who's done a full squad is George Miguel Ubusan. Ubusan.
Okay.
I hope I've got that right. He's at a 4-2-3-1 with subs. Another one for full service. Etheridge, Khakkhara, Gear, Anton Del Rosario, Carly de Murga. So he's got one in there. Manny Ott, Chris Greatwich, Schrock, Caligdon, Reichel, Phil Younghusband.
Okay.
So a lot of the same names, right? Falcasgard, Borromeo, Gerardo, James, De Jong, Bahadur, and Patino on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Who else have we got?
Nobody's mentioned Patrick Data at all.
No one's mentioned Data. He's got a couple of mentions in some of the subs, but I think generally speaking,
it's
pretty much a lot of similarities. Owen Gill put down Chris Greatwich number 1, and then 2 to 11 also Chris Greatwich. Shout out to Owen Gill. Used to work with him back in the UK. Who else? I think there was. I want to see if we got one that is exactly the one that we picked. No, that one's not it. I think one on Instagram was pretty close. We got Michael Malaban, Etheridge, Sato, De Rosario, Borromeo, Lucena. So we went with Lucena at centre back. De Jong, James Younghusband, Stoible, Schrock, and then forwards Phil Younghusband and Patino. Yeah, no. Here's one who picked Alvin de Campo. So Paula Andrea Marie, Etheridge, Ocampo, Gear, Borromeo, Khakkhara. So we put Alvin at the back. Lucena, Caligdon, Schrock, Chris Greatwich, forwards Phil Younghusband and Patino. Goalkeeper, bench, Casas.
Nice.
Oh no, sorry. I think this person picked 2 teams. Sorry, this is the one who picked 2 teams.
2 teams.
They put a team to play against each other, right? So then their second team was Casas, Sato, Johnson, Del Rosario, Margazi.
Margazi.
Boogie
Wow,
Margazi.
Boogie, huh?
That is old school, that one.
Yeah.
James Younghusband, Araneta, Ingresso. And then up front, Reichel, and it says F. Garcia, but I think that's Freddie Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Right, I think because I think that's what they meant. But that was an interesting selection.
Wow, Araneta in the middle, huh?
Araneta in the middle, so that was an interesting one. Let's pick a couple more, and then we'll wrap it up. Ceres, Daniel.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to read this verbatim, right? So, okay. Etheridge, Sato, Borromeo, Gear, Anton Del Rosario, Caligdon, Moy,
Lexton,
Moy, Chris. This is Chris, the friggin' midfield maestro, Greatwich. I'm not making it up. That's what he's got down here. James Younghusband, and then he's gone with Wolf and Gerardo.
Wolfie, huh?
You know what? I think his Kaya loyalties have run deep there because he's not picked Younghusbands. He's not picked. I don't think he's picked anyone who's ever played for Morocco. I know he has. He's picked James. He didn't pick Phil.
Wow.
Okay. Vendetta there. But I appreciate the comments. Who else? Let me pick. Let me find it. There is one that was pretty much spot on. Is this the one? No, that wasn't it. There was one that was really, really close to the perfect pick. Okay. This one's, I think he's one off. So this is Chino Sato. I think this is the closest one, actually. I think this is the closest one to what we had. Rob Gear, Ali Borromeo, Girardo, Stoibley, Chiefy Caligdon, Chris Greatwich, James Younghusband, Stefan Schrock, Phil Younghusband, Javier Patino. So he was only, I think, one off.
Yeah.
One off our pick. So Chino Sato was probably the closest one out of all the picks that we've had. But I think a lot of the similar names, aren't they? A lot of the same names popping up. This is the closest one. Bill Pakatang. This will be the last one. Same formation. So he's got Neil Etheridge, Daisuke Sato, Rob Gear, captain, Ali Borromeo, Ray Johnson. So that was the one change.
Ray Johnson.
Jerry Lucena, Chris Greatwich, Stefan Schrock, midfield. So the same midfield.
Yeah.
Chiefy Caligdon, Patrick Reischel, Phil Younghusband.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty. That was almost pretty much your selection if you'd have gone with it. So a lot of the same names, really. So I think the definitive lineup that we have selected, the official Azkals 11 of the past 20 years, is not too far off the mark.
Definitely, there are some players there that you can't argue with. I'd say, like, Etheridge's spot.
Yeah.
Ali and Rob. I think Rob more than Ali for some of the people.
Yeah.
Stefan Schrock is unanimous.
Yeah.
He hasn't been argued against. There was a lot of Chiefy.
Yeah.
Which is nice to see for me. And Phil, Younghusband up top.
Yeah.
The others you can chop and change, but there's a lot of Chris Greatwiches out there. A lot, Chris.
And no, shout out to my mum for making like fake accounts and just posting them on all our social media platforms. Thanks, Mum. But no, I think that's a fair 11. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
If you are.
It's been fun. It's been fun looking back 20 years, looking at all the squads and trying to see, like, wow, an amazing run that we've been on over the last 10 years. And, when you look at sort of the reaction of people to certain results that we are getting at Asian Cup level or at the qualifiers for the World Cup, like people will talk smack about, like, oh, the Azkals are this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, 10 years ago, do you have any idea where we were? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, were you there watching us struggle against Timor-Leste and needing 2 goals late to win that?
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of people standing up for the journey. Yeah. And it's, when you're looking at it from a bird's eye view over the last 10 years, this country has gone from being in complete obscurity to making it to the Asian Cup in the span of 9 years. Yeah. That's tremendous.
That's amazing, yeah.
That's tremendous. And we don't get enough credit. I think the football community doesn't give enough credit to the Azkals and how things have transpired over the last few years. It's easy to criticize, but when you see the full context of it, you see, wow, this is going to be quite a ride. Yeah. And it's not, anywhere near reaching its fruition yet.
No, I think one of the interesting things about this is going through this list, there's a lot of players that are still current players.
True.
So, maybe if we did this in 10 years' time, some of these names will still be on this list, which I think will be really nice. But no, it's been a pleasure having you on. It's been nice going down memory lane with you and arguing a little bit, but I think generally speaking, I think we've got a pretty good list here. So when this episode comes out, if anyone would like to argue with any of us, pick a fight with us, no problem, you can do. Like I said, on our social media platforms, we'd love to hear your comments. And but no, thanks for coming on the show today. Really appreciate
pleasure,
it.
Man.
It's been a joy. And who knows, maybe get you on the show again sometime soon.
I hope so, man. This has been really good. It's been really fun. Thank you.
Thanks for having you. If you enjoyed this episode of Across the Line, please subscribe to our YouTube page, follow us on Facebook, and download our episodes on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify.